this is Dave. Welcome back to another video. This one on my latest investing updates. I do these about once every few weeks to dish all the goods on all the trades I've been making, whether my portfolio has been up or down, my thoughts about the market, and I'd love to hear all that stuff from you as well and really share ideas. That's kind of the whole idea, if you will, behind these videos. So I do have several trades to go over for you today and some thoughts about the markets. Rocket Lab, of course, as always, with being the biggest part of my portfolio. First of all, before we get into that though, I did have a bit of an announcement that I made in the last week's Rocket Lab Weekly. So if you didn't see that, yeah, I am going to be a dad. So pretty exciting stuff, and yet another reason to invest and to invest for the future. It is going to be a girl, we found out, and I'm comfortable sharing that at this point. So pretty excited for that. It's going to be crazy. I don't know how that will impact the channel, but we'll see when we get there. Baby is due in mid-December. Well, obviously things can change on that front, but extremely excited about that. So yeah, just sharing that news with you guys, and really investing has made my whole lifestyle possible and really changed my life. And I do think we'll be able to, you know, have a good support for this baby, if that makes sense. I did also finally buy my new car, which I put some of my investing proceeds towards, and I was very excited about that. The wife wanted an SUV, partly to be bigger and a little bit safer. My old car was frankly falling apart and quite unsafe, and with a baby on the way, I just wanted something that's a little bit more safe. So I wanted an EV, she wanted an SUV. We got a Model Y, which is both, and did get it used to try and save some cash, because I do like to put as much money into the market as possible. And yeah, got it used, a few years old, but excited to have the new car as well. So thank you, Rocket Lab, and all my other stocks for that. That's probably quite a long, rambling intro for you guys, so thank you for sticking with me through that. But anyway, before we dive into this week's investing updates, please do consider liking, subscribing, all the YouTube jazz. Thank you so much for all the current subscribers as well as channel members for your support. And with that out of the way, let's dive into this month's investing updates. All right, my 1 week performance. Frankly, I really don't care about 1 week intervals for the most part, because it's just too short a time frame to really judge yourself. But what I have seen in the past week is I'm down a little over 2%. So them's the breaks, you know. As goes Rocket Lab and some of my other big holdings, so goes the overall portfolio performance, and we'll get into that in a little bit as well. Looking further out though, I did check my annualized returns, and over the past few years, we're looking at, well, obviously a 1 year, 172% is quite amazing, but over a longer term, since this account was opened, that's not since I started investing, but that is since I moved to Interactive Brokers around 2020, averaging a 33.5% return, which is awesome, and very happy with that return. So no complaints there overall. Year to date, still looking solid as well, with 22% annualized. So that's kind of the zoomed out picture. Always interested to hear how you guys are doing. And, you know, I'm sure a lot of you guys doing way better than me as well, as I do keep those safe, conservative index funds in my portfolio as well. Getting to one of the more interesting trades I did make recently now is Firefly Aerospace, which I shorted. Now, if you're not familiar with shorting, I'm not going to go into a whole long detail, but basically I'm selling shares that I don't have with the plan to buy them back in the future, hopefully for a lower price. But if those shares do go higher, I could be forced to pay, you know, exponentially higher price for them. So what I've noticed with these space IPOs, so incredibly predictable. I feel like, you know, it's so obvious that why isn't everyone doing this? And am I missing something here? But no, it just keeps happening every single time. So I figured, okay, fine. With Firefly, with Voyager, and a few of these recent ones, I figured why not? So I shorted Firefly. I sold 100 shares that I don't own on the first day of trading for about 60 $61-ish per share, 61.52. Opened all the way up at 70, but by the time I could get, a trade in and there was shares available to short, it had already dropped. But that's completely okay because it's continued to drop since then. The shares as of the recording of this video were around $47. That means if I closed out the trade today, if I bought back those 100 shares that I sold for 61.5, I would only be paying 4.7, and I would have a net gain of about $1,500. Not bad since Firefly just went public, so not complaining about that one at all. I do kind of think it will continue to go down, so I'm not ready to close out this trade yet. It's just so predictable, the pop after the IPO hype and craze, the price discovery inevitably grinding the stock lower. Insiders are still locked out from selling, so there could be even steeper losses or a steeper drop when that lockout period expires. But this trade and the Voyager one that I'll talk about soon, not even necessarily saying anything about the company. It's just what happens. And the same thing happened to Rocket Lab, of course, happened to pretty much every space company. They go public, they pop, they drop. There you have it. So might as well make some money off of it. And if you do like the company, you can go long later on at a cheaper price. Don't be paying the peak price for it. Another one, this one a little less interesting. I did sell my remaining Apple shares. Part of this was to go towards the car. I had to sell a little more stocks. And Apple is just a company that frankly is fine, has a crap ton of cash on its balance sheet and doesn't seem to be doing a lot with it or as much as I'd like. It's always going to sell a ton of iPhones and going to make a ton of money that way, but I'm not excited by the innovation. I'm not excited by the AI strategy or where the company's going in the future. I think it's a fine one to hold if you want to, but there's probably better ones out there. So I've divested of my Apple position, just didn't have that much left, sold another $2,000 worth to close that out. Continuing on, as I said previously, I had shorted Voyager Space. Similar story, goes public, $55 per share, now down to $29 per share. Unfortunately, this trade I closed out too early. Basically, I was planning to shift my short position over to puts. If you're familiar with options, I was going to buy some puts because a little bit safer and more protected in terms of how much money you can lose. And by the way, I should point out, guys, shorting an extremely dangerous strategy. So I'm certainly not suggesting anyone, puts their whole portfolio into a short position or anything like that. I do keep these trades very small. I find it fun to do and gives me a reason to watch the stock market closely and get a little bit of an excitement whenever I see that share price. I just think I know what's going to happen. And it turned out it was right again. So I kind of hesitated at buying those puts because of how steep the premiums were. Probably should have just done it. Got out too early, but nevertheless, I made about $700 on this Voyager short trade as it went public. Wouldn't it shock me if this continues to drop for a while? Yeah, I don't know about Voyager. I wouldn't be ready to go long on it personally, but always interested to hear your thoughts. Anyway, now I'm out of that trade. I've made my money and I'm moving on from Voyager Space for now. It is one I'll be following in the future as I like to follow the entire space industry closely. Talking about Rocket Lab now, the largest position in my portfolio, continuing to mostly hold this position, 14,000 shares, average cost basis $4.11. Current share price, $44.20. Next, a little bit about my thoughts on the Rocket Lab share price. So I was pretty concerned a little earlier that we were seeing a falling knife here with Rocket Lab, and who knows how far it can go. We were dropping off a cliff after really just a historic run from sub 20s all the way to high 50s. And when you do see a run like that, almost straight up, you better watch out for the pullback. Now, zooming in a little bit closer onto Rocket Lab stock, I'm starting to feel pretty good about the situation and certainly a lot better than I was a week ago. We did kind of have a falling knife situation after that historic rise, as I did mention, but we're starting to see some stabilization and support develop around the 42.5, maybe 42.8 levels. So that seems to be holding for now. I was a little bit worried that that was going to break through and we'd see further falling to the downside. Doesn't seem like that's the case. We do seem to be holding, and indeed, if we do break to the upside in this wedge formation, we could be looking at, another leg up potentially. So that's kind of how I see it on the short term. Obviously, technicals is not my speciality, but I do like to check in on them every now and again. I do think the investor psychology is real, and people do kind of think about these things as they put in their own buys and sells. And consequently, the technicals do actually matter sometimes, but only on the shorter term. So interested to hear your thoughts on technicals, where we're going over the next few weeks. I think we're breaking up through the upside here potentially, and looking forward to how the stock will move in the future. Continuing on with my trades over the past couple weeks, I did as well sell a few of those index funds to help pay for the car. Not a ton, but yeah, just raised about $4,000 Canadian in this trade. And I have also been selling some covered calls lately, as you may be aware, on both my HIMS position and my Tesla position. So first of all, talking a little bit about Tesla, I had previously sold covered calls with an August 15 expiry date at a strike price of $395 per share. So basically, if the share price was lower than $395, I get the full $900 premium, $966, and I don't lose my shares. If it goes above that, then someone gets to buy my shares for $395. So I made, obviously, the vast majority of it. I didn't feel like waiting till the final expiry date because I had extracted the vast majority of the value out of it. So I did basically buy the call back to close it, and ended up making, $966 minus $920. So I made like $940 off of that in about a month's time. I just generally feel like Tesla vehicle sales incredibly underwhelming right now. And while I do think the self-driving future potential is there, as well as the robotics and Optimus potential is there, it's going to take quite a while for that to play out and to actually see the numbers hitting the bottom line for the full self-driving. So wasn't expecting a big move up to the 400 levels for quite a while, and that's worked out well so far for me. I've been making pretty much $1,000 a month off Tesla for the last few months. Got to be careful on the timing for those, because obviously, the stock can move rapidly, and if you sell it at the wrong time, like say if I sold covered calls like right here, I would lose a lot of the value of that run up. So, no trade is without risk, but this one's been doing pretty well for me lately. And I did another one now expiring September 12th. And I got paid a similar amount for that as well, but actually $964. So, feeling pretty good about, making another $1,000 and not thinking it's likely that it will hit those levels. But if it does, I'm okay taking those gains. And with a stock this volatile, there's always future buying opportunities. Elon will say some stupid shit on Twitter, pardon my French, and the stock will be down in the gutter. HIMS, similar scenario where kind of feel like the stock is capped right now at around, 65. So I had previously sold some covered calls for 75, made about $400 off of that, 480, and rolled that out to September 12th for another, 300-ish bucks, $390. So there's another $846 from HIMS over the past couple months. Just trying to, build a little bit of revenue coming into the account as well that way. HIMS is an interesting one. They've got a lot of growth. They have a lot of risk. They have a lot of controversy around them. I still am feeling good about the company, but I tend to want to buy it at like 30 or below. And now I think it's sitting around 40-ish right now. So I do have significant gains on my HIM shares, and am fine to sell these covered calls on it. And if it gets called away, I'll take the win, and I'll have that cash to redeploy elsewhere. Overall markets, I just want to briefly speak about obviously S&P 500 hitting a new 52-week high. Been a crazy run since mid 2025. That looks like a V to me in terms of a V-shaped recovery and then some. So the price to earnings ratio is getting a little bit stretched on the S&P 500, but if you really believe in the transformational nature of AI and the future potential it has, then maybe it is worth it. As for public company investors, really our best exposure to the AI trade is in the S&P 500, whether we're talking about Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA. Well, no, I wouldn't say Apple, but Microsoft, Amazon, NVIDIA, Mag 7 names, Tesla. Obviously, a lot of people are big on Palantir. I did miss the boat on that one. But I did just want to point out that this is something we have to watch as well. Is the market getting overheated? But on the plus side, it's starting to look like we'll get some rate cuts pretty soon, which tends to be bullish for growth companies and smaller cap companies. So that could also help out with the likes of RKLB and others. So we have potential catalysts to the bullish side, as well as a little bit of perhaps concerns about valuations getting a bit stretched. And obviously, as the overall market goes, it can pull stocks up or down with it. So interested in hearing your thoughts, as always, on the overall markets. So those are my trades over the past few weeks, still eking out some value despite being in a little bit of a downtrend on RKLB, which is my biggest name. I've made money on the Voyager trade, as well as I'm up on the Firefly trade, made money on those covered calls for Tesla, as well as for HIMS, and did make a few small sales to complete the purchase of that car, which is pretty exciting. I think when you're incredibly early in your investing journey, it's really important to save every penny you can and get that real compound effect going. But once your portfolio does get larger, and the compounding effect is in full swing, at that point, it's okay to live a little, if you will, and realize you can't take your money with you when you die. So maybe that's a little morbid, but something I've been wanting for quite a while, and it's a very small percentage of my portfolio that I have made those sales on. So pretty excited for the new purchase. Hope you guys are doing good. Interested to hear your comments on any of the stuff I've mentioned down below. I'll be checking out those comments. And yeah, hope you have a great rest of the day. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you soon for the next video. Watch out for those financial updates for RKLB. I think that one will definitely be worth a watch. And see you next time. Bye for now.